Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, yeah, keep your ears open for this one. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Getting real. Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your happiness specialist. I'm Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for just being a listener. I really do appreciate it. Listen, I'm here just yakking, and what I'm doing is, as a happiness specialist, is just sharing with you what I've learned about this whole happiness thing. And if you've listened to the show, sorry in advance for repeating, but when I was younger, I wanted two things. I wanted to live to my potential, and I wanted to be happy. And this wanting to be happy has become a lifelong commitment. And when I say commitment, I really mean a commitment. It is a practice, a daily practice, moment by moment. Not daily practice. It is a moment-by-moment practice. Happiness is a practice skill. And it depends on what you're practicing, because there are behaviors that subtract from your happiness, subtract from your peace, and there are behaviors that add to your happiness and add to your peace. And when I say happiness, it is the same as using the word peace, being at peace, feeling content, vibrating contentment, vibrating satisfaction, vibrating balance, vibrating trust, vibrating knowing that everything that is happening or not happening is in perfect order, and trusting that, practicing trusting. I think we were talking last week about trusting. That's a practice too. I discovered I need to practice trusting more. But the bottom line is, what are your priorities? What do you prioritize? What are you committed to? What are you committed to in your life? What is a priority to you? I asked that question last week, and that is only a question that you as the individual can answer. Because what's important to me may not be important to you. Listen, I'm up here thinking that happiness is the most important thing, but to everyone it may not be. And that is on me to practice acceptance of what anybody else does or believes. You know, I don't usually go online and read people's posts, but for some reason I was inspired to today. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was a woman. Hold on a second, because I took a screenshot of it. And it was, oh, shoot, and of course I don't have it. Anyway, it was this woman who was, she voiced her, she said, I'm tired of living in this world. I'm sick of living in this world. And she said she's sick of people that are not kind, that value material things. She went on and on and on, and she just said, I'm sick of living in this world. And I actually started making comment. I wrote a whole thing out. I said, you know, the sun shines on the serial killer and the Pope, and you're noticing whatever someone else is doing, and judge less and accept more. I wrote all that out, and then I just deleted it, because now I'm in her business. Now I'm. She didn't ask me a question. She didn't ask me for advice. or instruction. So here I am commenting on something that she says, and so that is the main issue today. The main point is criticizing, and really I can use the word judging. Criticizing and judging, same thing, someone else. In fact, let's see, I wrote down the definition of judging. I wrote down the definition of criticizing. And today's show is about criticizing someone else, criticizing something else, and here we go, the topper, criticizing self. So the definition of criticizing is finding or expressing faults in someone or something else in a disapproving way. A person who expresses an unfavorable opinion of something or someone else. And I found a picture of myself. I probably wasn't even 2 years old. I just found it today. And I looked at that little girl that wasn't even 2, and I'm looking at her and saying, wow, that's who I was before the programming. That's who I was before I was taught to criticize others. And really the criticism of anyone else, always the foundation is the criticism of self. So I know that if I'm looking at anyone else and I'm finding fault, listen, trust me, I could sit up and list a lot of things, tons of things what's wrong with other people. But the problem with that practice is, the problem with that behavior is, I'm subtracting from my own peace. I'm subtracting from my own happiness. I might as well just drink the poison. I might as well shoot myself in the foot. When I made a commitment to prioritize peace, it's number one. So why would I consciously look at anyone else and find fault with what they're doing, much less express it? This criticism, and I want to bring up, I like to talk about what's in the news. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. But there's this very famous singer. She's up and coming. Her name is Lizzo, and I really like her. I like her energy. I like her. I just like her vibration. At least I like what I see on stage. Let me say that, because I don't know her, but I like the vibe on stage. And last week she was at a Laker game, and she was wearing an outfit and with a big cutout in the back, so her ass was showing, and she was wearing a thong, and her ass was showing, and her song came on over the speaker. I mean, she's at the Forum. Is it the Forum? It's not the Forum anymore. Where do the Lakers play? I think they do play at the Forum. Anyway, or did they tear the Forum down? Or is it Staples Center? Anyway, I think it's Staples Center. Boy, I'm dating myself with the Forum. But anyway, she's at Staples Center, and her song comes on, and she's just dancing and bopping, having a great time. Everybody's dancing. Now the camera goes right to her, and she turns around, and her bare ass is out with the song on, and she starts dancing and twerking and twerking and dancing and dancing and twerking. And you see a lot of people clapping, and then you also hear a lot of boos. And let me tell you, the backlash from that whole scene, the backlash, what do they call it, being dragged through social media, was quick. It was quick. It was not good, not nice. Well, let's just say a lot of it was not good. And my point is this. This world where we're living right now it seems like it is part of a list of things to do today. My list of things is criticize someone else. And my challenge to you, my dear listener, is to just be conscious of how often do you look at someone else and notice what someone else is doing, and not only say it to yourself, but verbalize it to someone else. The problem with that, if you value or you prioritize happiness, is you are subtracting happiness from yourself. So this big push, this big criticism of someone else. Now listen, would I get up there on stage, ass out with a thong on and start twerking? Well, first of all, I don't know how to twerk. I sure do wish I knew how to twerk. I've practiced, but that's just one thing I cannot get. I don't know what the hell it is. But anywho, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that in front of thousands of people in the world. I wouldn't do that. But I am not going to sit and say that what she did wasn't right for her. Apparently, she felt good in that moment. Apparently, she felt like dancing, turning around, and doing what she did. Now, all of the backlash or the what happened afterward is going to be her journey, her lessons, her growth. She's going to learn a lot from that experience. And who am I to say, I'm going to even use that word, how arrogant of me to say that what she did was either right or wrong. Apparently, it was right for her. And that goes, same thing goes to the lady that I was talking about earlier, about I'm reading her post, and her statement was right for her in her moment. When we stay out of other people's business and we know that there is no way that we can judge and or criticize someone else because we wouldn't do it or we wouldn't think about doing it. My point is this: staying out of anyone else's business, judging anybody else for what they do or they don't do, is really the job of not the individual, not us. The universe is watching. Everything has a place. Everything has an order. And the sun shines on the serial killer and the Pope. So the universe is allowing and accepting all of this that's happening, but it's us, it's we, the programmed us, it's the programming that teaches us to judge and criticize someone else. But the programming keeps us from peace, and the programming keeps us from feeling this vibration of contentment. Now, I'm asking you, what's important to you? It's become, people make their living criticizing others, and I totally understand it. But I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing to accept and know that whatever anybody else is doing has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to do with me unless I choose to notice and make a judgment. All judgment and all criticism starts with self. I'm raising my left hand here. I was my own biggest critic. Are you kidding? I can criticize myself up to this today, what I don't do, what I do. It's endless. The ego is endless with the criticism. But it's up to each individual to, or not, to realize that there is that voice, that critical voice, that you were not born with. That critical voice, that critical, you know what I'm talking about. You're not doing enough. You're whatever the negativity comes. You know that voice I'm talking about. You weren't born with that voice. You weren't born with criticizing self. It was something that you learned. And all I have to say is whatever you learned, you can unlearn. When you become aware of it, and when you are willing to and wanting to commit to prioritizing peace. I have a few people in the queue, and if you want to speak with me, just press the number 1. Hold on a second. I have let me see. There was one more thing I wanted to add, though, before I go to the phones. Oh, let me just say this. This is the holiday season. And there's a lot of people that celebrate the holidays, that feel good to the holidays, and there are a lot of people that just drag themselves through the holidays. That dragging yourself through, or they call it depression, whatever you want to label it, is only because of the programming that says during a holiday season, on Christmas or on New Year's or whatever holiday you're celebrating, it has to look like this, or it has to feel like this. High expectations. I'm speaking for myself. Oh, my goodness. High expectations for feeling a certain way during a holiday. And I'm here to tell you that this moment-by-moment feeling, this moment-by-moment choice of choosing whatever day you want, you can celebrate Christmas. You can have that holiday spirit in the middle of February, in the middle of June, in April. The holiday is another man-made. When I say man-made, I'm talking about the programming of what the holiday entails. The dinners, the shopping. I was at somewhere yesterday, and this guy was getting gift cards, and I said, "Oh, those are good gifts." And he says, "Yeah, they're stocking stuffers. I still have more Christmas shopping to do." And I said, "Are you enjoying shopping?" And he looked at me. he looked at me, enjoying shopping? No, this is hell. And so I'm saying to you, is just be open to choosing your own path, choosing your own way to celebrate a holiday, choosing whatever way you want to celebrate or not celebrate that's going to bring you more peace. Okay, let me go to the phones really quick here. Well, let me just go to the phones. I don't have to be quick. Let's see. Area code 347. Oh, this is Nathan. Well, welcome to Reality Spirituality, Nathan. Thank you for calling Reality Spirituality. What's up?
What's up? I love a lot of things you're saying. I just have some responses and some things that popped into my head as you were talking.
Please.
Well, you talked about the holiday season and you know that we can celebrate any time, and I wrote down because you also talked about criticizing others, or you defined it. You know, what does it mean when we're looking at someone else's experience and getting all wrapped up into what they're doing, which I loved your story about that post you were going to make, your response, and then you erased it. I love that story. So what I'm getting, saying all this to say with the holiday season, and for me, it's how am I using other people? When I look at other people, am I using it so that I can criticize and then feel bad about them, or maybe I look at them and I put them on a pedestal and then I feel bad about me? And I think when I look at other people, I want to try to practice, if I am looking at their experience, how can I look at their experience and use that as information to help me, to help self? And so it's because it's like I can't help but look and see what other people are doing, but it's like, what am I doing when I look at someone else? And sometimes if I look at someone and they're stressed out or they're mad, something's going on, it actually is nice for me because I say, oh, okay, well, I know that I don't want to do that for me. And how can it's just all coming back to a learning experience. And I'll wrap up my little segment by saying, you know, you said, what's important to you? And you talked about peace. And I think what's important to me is peace and learning. Like I am interested in learning in this lifetime. That's important to me. And sometimes it feels like I'm learning, and other times it feels like I'm really not learning anything. I'm just going through it and I'm going to get through it and who cares what I'm learning. But for me, when I feel like I'm learning or gaining something, it really relaxes me and it makes me feel good.
So you said a lot of different things. Let me just hop onto this learning thing. This is what I like to practice, and that is noticing and being aware of how different I am from today than I was a month ago or 6 months ago. And I use it, and words are so limiting. You use the word learning. I use the word growing or expanding. It's the same thing for me, expanding, because I know I know what a bitch I used to be years ago. And I say that because it's true. It was judging, it was criticizing, it was noticing what other people were doing. I've said this before on my radio show so many times. I used to think that, if the world was more like me, it would be a better place. And what you're talking about with all of this is the practice of acceptance. The practice of acceptance is one of the most let me scratch that. I was going to say most challenging, but it is a challenge because I was taught not to accept. I was taught not to accept tons and tons and tons and tons of things, types of people. I remember when I was younger, there would be no way I would talk to anyone that I knew came out of prison or came out of jail. Why would I even want to talk to somebody like that? Plus, I mean, this is just years and years ago, and then programmed to not talk to a pedophile, or just looking at others as and judging them. And you said something about putting them down. When I judge other people or criticize other people, or when I did, it was to make myself feel better, to make myself feel more than or better than. Oh, look at them. But it's a false sense. It was an illusion. It was a trap that my ego used to look at them. They're not doing A, B, or C, or D. I remember there was a small party here in this very small town where I live, and it was a huge birthday party, and the lady was 80 years old, and she had a huge following, probably about invitees, probably about 80 people. There were a lot of people at the center. And I remember looking at it and saying, because I had my 50th party, it was used. I remember looking and saying, "Oh God, she had her party here, and what a dump!" and the menu was bad, and I just went on and on about what a horrible I wouldn't have my party at this place. I mean, it was just so much judgment and so much criticism that was coming out of me, and I had to really do a self-check. And this is really about self-check-in. You say check-in. A self-check-in. Who's the one coming up with these thoughts? Who's the one criticizing? And then this acceptance of, because to this person, this was a marvelous party, a great turnout. I mean, I heard so many praises, and here I am with my arrogant self, ego self, judging that, no, I wouldn't do it like this. But see, then we get to what's changed, and that was probably last year sometime, and get to a point where if it's good for someone else, if someone else is, if this works for them, how they want to be in this life, whether it's complaining, whether it's negative, whatever it's really about the lesson of acceptance, and all of it comes back to me, because the struggle is always internal. The suffering the suffering comes from thinking that something needs to be different than what's really happening. And the truth is, the vibration of satisfaction is not taught or practiced in today's world. You know, if I'm not satisfied, it is an ego. It's an ego-driven vibration. You're not satisfied. I can always find something wrong, but when do I practice finding something right? When do I practice opening my arms and saying, wow, I have everything that I need. I have it all. What is this wanting something more? Wanting something more. It is a constant more. It's not enough. Well, that's another program behavior that always subtracts from my peace. I don't even know if I've answered your question. I don't even know if I touched on it. But would you like to add to that comment, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, so many really good things for you and from you, and I'll just circle it back to that acceptance word. You talked about that, and you said if the world was more like me, it'd be a better place. You know, that false belief. And listen. I think that too, and I'm thinking, why? What is that coming from? And I'm realizing that I think what I meant by that, when I say that, if people were more like me, it would be a more comfortable place for me. But the point isn't necessarily for that. I think the point is that this person does think differently, and then this person talks differently and uses a different language. I think the whole point in us being here, or not the whole point, but one of the points is that there is a lot of contrast. There are different types of trees. There are different colors. There's different animals, and that is what creates that expansion, the learning. That's the good stuff, even though it's not necessarily comfortable. It does lead to learning or expanding. And I think for me, accepting that the differences are a good thing, because sometimes if I don't believe that or I forget that, it really feels like it's something that challenges me. But I like the idea of this contrast. The differences are good, and accepting that that's just the way it is, and that's the way it probably always will be.
Yes, and let me just add this too. This is what I found. Life is just a roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster of events. And if I had been taught earlier that, you know, this being uncomfortable or this feeling a little, growth is uncomfortable. The challenge is uncomfortable. All of that. If I practiced that or was even taught that, oh, you're coming to a bumpy part in the road, but there's going to be smooth sailing. There's going to be another bumpy part, and that's just part of life. And that uncomfortableness just means it's an opportunity for growth and expansion. Just that alone, because it is what is the uncomfortableness of expanding, the uncomfortableness of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, it's not about someone else, it really is about me, and I'm okay with looking in the mirror and finding, okay, there are answers, and I have I am powerful, I am empowered to make a conscious choice in any moment. I have another person that wants to either ask a question or comment. Hold on just a second. Let me put you on. Let me just do this. Let me see. Area code 919. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. What's your first name?
Well, it's Robert. Happy holidays, Rebecca and Nathan.
Oh, Robert Sharp.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God! What a great surprise, Robert. Thank you for calling in. What's going on?
Well, I was enjoying listening to you and Nathan, and I thought, boy, it's just, sitting around with you two would be a really fun experience. But with Nathan, when he was talking about, his love for learning, and then there are those times when you just kind of ram through life, that you don't. The thing that popped in my mind is that, with learning, that whole rat race kind of, or that lack of moments of learning, or appear to be, really are the times. And if you didn't have those, then those aha learning moments wouldn't be so dramatic, So, there's kind of, and that's kind of the way life is. So when you experience that hurried kind of living life experience, there are a lot of people that do that, so that, when you get to those aha moments, you can tell that other people, listen, this is what I was doing, this is what happened to me, this is like, it can happen to you if you want to.
The thing with that I've learned with growth, I mean, and we've known each other, and I'm gonna say known each other for years now. I've been on your show, you've been on my show. What I've learned is that there are no awards, there are no parades, there are no trophies for personal growth. I mean, there's a lot for a lot of other things, and the thing that really that I've noticed in my own life is even just a speck, a little grain of sand amount of growth is a huge celebration, because looking out into nature, these trees that I'm looking at have taken years and years, and maybe hundreds of years to grow. But the growth is can be so slight to the eye, and that's why I like to, years ago or 6 months ago, you would have responded differently, and now it doesn't even matter, and now you're accepting it. So if you would share with me, Robert, how are you different than you were? I'm going to say, I'm going to put you on the spot. Hold on a second. Should I put you on the spot? How are you different than, I'm going to give you because you know me, then I'm not going to say, how about 3 months ago? 3 months ago.
Yeah. First of all, before I say that, when you were talking about growth, even little, and to me, what just came to my mind was that of like a huge oak tree, or let's just think of a sequoia, or a day, every single day it grows. You may not even begin to see, but it grew every day, and there wasn't one day it didn't grow. So, that's, I think, like us. We grow every day, we grow every minute, and it may not be noticeable, but we do. So with that, it's just, there's new projects, new experiences that, every day. Every week I have people on the show, so every time I talk to them, I learn something new. So, it's, and it all just contributes to to my experience, and to, hopefully raising awareness to a lot, of what goes on around me that maybe I didn't see before. So there's a whole lot.
Well, this is the thing. And when I talk about growing, I'm talking about growing consciously. I'm talking about really growing consciously. And excuse me, and consciously meaning growing away from the program of what I was taught, growing away, consciously choosing not to blame anybody else for how you're feeling, or consciously choosing not having expectations, consciously choosing acceptance, consciously surrendering. So I'm looking at consciousness as the growth factor, because I love everybody out there. I accept everybody out there, but the conscious levels are very different. The conscious levels are different because there are people that are just routinely programmed that if you step on their foot or you cut them off in traffic, it's always going to be the same response of I'll flip you off or I'll get angry or somebody cheats you, and you know it's going to be a constant programmed reaction. So there's a difference between reacting and responding. And so when I talk about growth, I'm talking about, well, I already said it already, but I totally agree. And the consciousness, you know, I told you the story last year, excuse me, about the handyman getting the house.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know if I've updated you or anything, but hold on.
There was an update, I heard,
Of course, I'm getting choked up. But there was a time where that handyman, that attorney, that mom, I shared with you on the show. I mean, I blamed all of them for it. I blamed all of them for what happened. But in reality, it's all of us. It was a whole setup because I needed to expand and grow my consciousness, and I needed to figure out that, you know what, you need to practice trust more. You need to practice exactly everything happened perfectly, even though you tell that story to the world and your eyes get big, your eyebrows go up, and what? But no, I wouldn't change one thing. Now I wouldn't change because of what I've learned from that. So back to you, Mr. And by the way, hey, Nathan, Robert, I challenged Robert, I don't know how many years ago. I said, can you sit in a restaurant? I'm just going to share this, Robert. Can you sit in a restaurant and order a bowl of Jell-O and put your hands in the bowl of Jell-O and just squish it up? And my dear friend Robert said he couldn't do it. So my question is, where are you today with that? Would you be able to put your hands in Jell-O and switch it around? What?
I could, but I would choose not to. I said the difference between couldn't and wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm sure you've lived through a challenge or two yourself. So. But,
Nathan and I both challenge each other all the time, right, Nathan?
That's for sure. And I love what you said, Robert, about I could, but I choose not to. I mean, I like the idea of having a choice of like Mom, you said, with being programmed or not programmed. It's the difference of I am going to choose to do this because I know that's good for me, or that I'm learning. We talked about expanding, or it's a little step. Or I'm going to choose not to do it because that doesn't feel right. I don't need to do that. Just going off of that vibration first, check that. It's like that check-in, and then moving from there, rather than just like you said, a immediate reaction or response. It's that little pause, and I using the word little because Robert, you used it too with. A little bit of growth every day. A plant so relatively slow and little growing that you can't even see. So for me, it's that little moment of just checking in and then progressing. A little pause, and it really makes all the difference.
And you know what else, too, Robert? I'm going to put all of that to rest because you have my body was getting chilled when you were talking. You have just put me in a place of, listen, Rebecca, there are certain things that you would not do. Certain things that you just would not feel comfortable doing. One is naked yoga. Certain things that you would not feel comfortable doing. And so what is this? What is this insisting or not insisting, but pushing? You know me, I'm pushy.
I know.
What is this? You have the same, and so thank you after all these years of getting me to end that whole thing, because you're absolutely right. There's a lot of things. I mean, I go to the gym and there are women that are just so easy and free with their bodies. They put their foot up on the table and with no clothes, and I just can't do it. You can't do it, wouldn't do it. So thank you for putting up with me for all those years of
right. You choose not. You choose not to.
Yes, I choose not to because of the program shame. That's the truth, though. For me, it's because of the programming and the shaming.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, and you know, everyone is on their own. You know, and when it comes to the holidays, it used to be. I mean, obviously there's that commercial aspect but the one thing I will say is that, when you were talking about kind of like group consciousness or, is that the holidays create the opportunity for, love and sharing and optimism. I mean, the positive things that we, really want to experience. So whether or not each individual experiences that is choice. But the fact is there's like a preset stage to express and receive love if chosen. So anyway, I think with that in mind, and the fact that it is, so it's a holiday, it basically touches everyone in one shape or form. I mean, for whatever observance they do or not do. But for those who observe, which is, for a good part of the world, observe something, but during that moment of reflection that, that positive. So, again, I think, whether or not you believe in the commercialism or, that part kind of, gets tasteless. But, the fact is that, again, it creates that opportunity for really expressing love. So.
I have noticed. I do notice every holiday, especially Christmas season, that people are. It's just Merry Christmas. Hi. There is a warm vibration and a communication that arms are out, or you're just ready to embrace. There is that vibration that does happen around this season that I do notice. I'm really speaking also too about the people that don't feel that because of the pressures of and because of the expectations of. But you're absolutely right. Otherwise there wouldn't be a lot of people talking about how depressed they get during the holidays, and it's because of the expectations of how you're supposed to feel during the holidays. Nathan, do you have anything to say about the holidays?
I do. I was just reflecting on this because I really love the idea of acknowledging different feelings on the holidays or really any day, because it is, and I just saw a show last night. It was a Christmas show, and in the middle of the show, the executive producer came on and she talked a little bit about sometimes the holidays are very, very challenging for people for whatever reason. If they are expected to be with people or exchange gifts or whatever it is, that it is very challenging for them. So just to be sensitive that everyone is really having a different experience. And for me personally, I can remember different kinds of feelings on the holidays. Some I was really, really looking forward to. Some I was indifferent. And some I remember having sadness or a feeling of I should be doing something other than I'm doing. So are the holidays really that different than any other day? I don't know. It is a good time to sort of zoom in on what's happening, but just to be sensitive that it's just different. And like you said, I love the idea of taking the expectation off. That feels really good to me.
Yeah.
Just a little more sensitivity.
Yes. Well, I've enjoyed both of you on the show. I have a couple people in the queue, but they don't want to join in. I guess they just like listening. But, Robert, what a nice surprise you calling in. Thank you so much. Yes.
What's a
pleasure
that was
to
cool.
Talk
with you. So I'm sorry, Nathan. It was good to actually, hear you. I mean, I've listened to a couple of shows with you and your mom talking, and I just you have such a fresh perspective, and also don't leave her unchallenged, which is.
Oh, please,
Thanks,
come
Robert.
on! Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we got some good back and forth. It's really nice that we can do that. And thank you, Robert, for chatting. It was really cool to chat with you too and hear you.
You're welcome. You have a great holiday as well.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you both for calling in, and both of you. Thank you for Robert. Thank you for Nathan. Reality Spirituality. It is a show of sharing. It is a show of learning. It is a show to just share with, and see, that's the thing. We're all as different as our fingerprints. We are as different as our fingerprints. And Robert, I'm going to contact you a little bit later, too, also, because I want to talk to you a little bit later. But anyway, we are as different as our fingerprints, and just accepting that and accepting others and being just the way the universe flows. The universe accepts all, and the universe is open to change, to growth, and it's really what are your priorities? What are you committed to? And back to the whole criticizing self, this criticism of others just comes from criticizing of self, and that is a practice that I was great at. I was really good. Give me A+ for criticizing self, and I've gotten to a point where whatever I do or whatever I don't do is A-OK. A-OK. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website is Rebecca Norrington. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. My Instagram is Reality Spirituality. I have a few videos on YouTube. You can check those out. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon.com. And my second book, Program for Unhappiness, will be out sometime 2020. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always growing. You're always changing. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. And remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. It is about the moment by moment choice. Have a conscious week. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RL? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.